All right, welcome to Wonder Without the Fear. We have Jana with Journey Within, and she's going to be talking about plant medicine. How are you doing today?
Good, I'm doing great. How are you doing over there?
Oh, it's yeah, fantastic. So, can you let us know how, first of all, you got involved with the plant medicine? Because I know that you were doing some coaching, and how did that all transpire?
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. So it's been, I started off actually about, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago studying architecture. I studied that for 5 years and I realized that's not what I wanted to do. I moved from Tasmania to Brisbane. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's in Australia. I'm in Australia now. It's lovely here. And I moved up to the big city to get a job. And I found that after a year, I finally got a job, and it's not what I wanted. I was looking around the office, what turned out to be from the best day of my life to what am I doing here? Is this really going to be me for the next 40 years of my life? Every day is the same. Who am I helping? Am I really contributing? Am I really helping? Or am I just going to be stuck in this office for the rest of my life, pretty much? So I felt horrible and I had to get out. So I did. And I managed to convince my employer after only 2 months to allow me to go and do this course in hypnosis. So I went and did that course in hypnosis, helping people to quit smoking, of all things. Went and did that and came back and I quit my job. He was surprised. He thought I was going to do it on the side, but I needed to get out. Every time I thought about helping people and starting my own business, I felt like light opened up. And every time I stepped in that office, I felt really constricted. So that was a huge conflict that was going on within. So I had to get out. I got out and I opened up my own business. I hired a very fancy office in the middle of the city on the top floor. And I thought I was trying to really just prove something on myself. Like I was this important person and I really knew what I was doing. And I did study. I did really put my work into it and continue to learn all this mental development. Did course after course. So many different courses, so many different mentors. Then I learned how to actually went from learning the techniques that I learned, which was things like hypnosis, coaching, neurolinguistic programming, which maybe most of you would have heard it, really useful techniques for making changes within the mind, and a few other different modalities. And then I learned, did more courses and learned how to actually then teach these modalities. So I opened up Next Level Institute, which was my work teaching teaching these courses and teaching this material in the classroom. But if I was really honest with myself, I found that I was still really struggling, and I still had lots of issues with myself. No matter how much personal development I did, how many techniques, how many coaches and things that I didn't work with, I still had issues with myself. I was still miserable in my room. And at a breakup that I had with this guy, which I thought it was meant to be. It was all going so well, and then it came crumbling down. I felt awful. I stopped eating. I was depressed. I was contemplating finishing my life, but I don't know how serious I was, but it was on my mind. I stopped eating, and I became very, very skinny and depressed. And a mentor of mine at the time, he said to me, "Well, Jana, have you ever tried learning from nature?" Because he knows how obsessed I was with learning intellectually and absorbing all this stuff in my mind, becoming this intelligent person, like, again, trying to prove something of myself, that I'm worth something, that I'm this amazing person. But so he said, "Have you ever tried learning from nature? And have you heard of ayahuasca?" And I thought to myself, well, what would nature teach me? Like, she's silent. And I didn't, at the first thought of that, I didn't really get it. I was thinking, okay, I'm listening to all these audios and all these mentors, and they have things to say. So what is nature? What would nature say? And what is ayahuasca? But I got very, very curious, and he told me about this beautiful plant and people having amazing healing with nature and visions and self-discovery and finally just healing and letting go. And I guess when things got so bad after this relationship breakup, I decided to go. And yeah, somehow miraculously, the right money, the right amount just landed in my lap, and I ended up booking a flight 10 days before the retreat in Peru where I did this, and I went. And the first half of, and I'm sure I'll speak more about the ceremonies and about how this actually happens, this work with this incredible spirit medicine called ayahuasca. So it's a retreat with working with this beautiful entheogen, this beautiful spirit medicine. And the first half of the first ceremony with this beautiful spirit medicine, I've been able to let go of this guy and understand why this person was in my life and how this came to be. And I could just let it go. And I let him go in the first half of this first ceremony. And there was 4 that we did at that retreat. And I thought, if I can do this in half a ceremony, like what else can I do within myself? What else can change? What else can I let go of or understand within myself? And it was so incredible. I got to understand myself, what were the roles of people in my life, what were they were there to teach me. I could let go. I could just have more like self-worth and understand myself. And the whole retreat was so life-changing. It's so just incredible. That I came back from Peru to Australia, and I was teaching a 15-day course to my students in advanced, a master level of neurolinguistic programming, coaching, all these things. And it was in the classroom, and I was teaching these people these modalities and bits and pieces. And I thought, if I could just take these people to the jungle, like I'm teaching such shallow level little techniques, which are great. They could really help a lot of people. But if I could just take them to the jungle and help them to see what I saw and heal at the deep, deep level that I healed, like if I could just do that for these people. And after this course was over, I was on the phone to one potential client, and he needed some help. And I would say my usual, yes, have you looked at coaching or neurolinguistic programming? These are techniques that can help you make changes in your mind. And he said, well, I've done all that. I've done all these things, but nothing's helping. Is there anything else you know of? And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity to really open up my heart and really share really what I know now, like what I know of this medicine. And I talked to him about ayahuasca and Peru and this amazing journey that I've had. And he said, well, do you take people up there? And I said, no, I don't. And when I finished the conversation and got off the phone, I thought, well, why don't I do that? Because here I am teaching these little techniques here, but if I can help people create real deep, strong, meaningful change and do coaching around those experiences, helping people prepare for it, helping people being there, supporting people through this experience, and then helping them to integrate this back into their lives. Imagine what kind of change you can create for these people, because this is what excites me, and this is what did it for me, and this is what helped me so deeply that I'm a completely different human now. And I'm so grateful that that I continue to do this work today. And it's been over 5 years, and literally I'm going to continue doing it because I can see the changes that it makes. And so yeah, completely changed my life. So I've passed it on to other people. So it's quite a journey, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's amazing that like how one aspect of something can have such a profound change in someone's life. And psychedelics in general appear to do this. And we see all of the works that we can go on and on about what happens with PTSD and soldiers and stuff like that, and then just other traumas and so on and so forth. But I want you to just kind of explain like what makes up ayahuasca, and the tribes that discovered it. How did they come up with these two unique? Because from my understanding, there's the leaves, and then there's the vine that come from two different areas of the Amazon. So how were they able to find this, and what is Amazon or ayahuasca, and how does it work within the body?
Well, that's a very good question. I love that question. So there's a few different stories about how they found out how to actually create this medicine. Because for those of you that might know of this medicine, ayahuasca, you would probably know that there's two components to it. The ayahuasca vine and then the chacruna leaves. So the chacruna leaves is what contains the DMT, and then the ayahuasca vine is what contains the MAOI inhibitors, which allow the DMT experience to last a lot longer than it usually would without the body, without metabolizing it. So it's not metabolized really quickly. It actually lasts a long time within your body, allows you a long space of time usually 6 to 8, sometimes a bit more hours to really connect with this medicine. More so, it also creates with those two medicines together, it brings about the sense of the spirit that a specific spirit that you get to connect with and work with. So the understanding of the people in the Amazon, the jungle, the tribes, they have different tribes have different traditions about different plant medicines and the like, of course. And in a general sense, they know that the forest is alive, and different species of plants have different spirits, have different energies. Like I guess I'm looking for a local example. I'm looking at my window. I'm thinking, okay, say a pea plant. So each one of them would have a specific spirit, but then also there's the collective spirit of this plant. And same with Mother Ayahuasca. She has this collective spirit. And with her, people are accessing this spirit through this combination of two different plants combined. So different stories around how those two, they knew which two to put together. One story is, and I believe a number of these are free because the Amazon could be true, because the Amazon is a very large place and there's a large way of being able to access this knowledge. So one of the stories is that the medicine people in the jungle, the medicine men and women, they would smoke a lot of tobacco, and there's a lot of tobacco that's smoked in the jungle. It's another really powerful master teacher plant. It's used for protection, for gifting. It's used for connecting with medicine, and tobacco itself is sometimes smoked, sometimes used in a type of paste to connect with medicine, sometimes a snuff, so through the nose. So it's served different ways, but it's a very, very powerful teacher plant. It's another one I work very closely with. So this is a story about how ayahuasca was discovered, as they would smoke a lot of tobacco, and the tobacco spirit told them which two plants to combine. So a lot of the knowledge is accessed through the tobacco plant, actually. So the tobacco plant would show them which plants to use and combine. Another one that's used even more so, actually, when they would know when someone is ill, for example, and they would need to know how to help them. The ayahuasca medicine is usually or very often one that they would go to, because traditionally the shaman would drink the ayahuasca, the brew themselves, and they'd have the patient or the person that's ill in front of them, and they would get a vision about how to be able to help them, what plants to use. The other story about how ayahuasca got discovered, and I really like this one. So this is a story about a pupil, a maestro, a teacher, and his pupil. So his student, he was seeing that his teacher is getting sick and is getting old. It was reaching really old age, and he was saying, well, teacher, like, maestro, how will I continue to learn from you? And the teacher said, well, when I die, bury my body right here in this spot. And he pointed to a spot. And when my wife dies, bury her next to me. And from my grave will grow a vine, and from her grave will grow a plant. And what you need to do is you need to mix those two together, brew them, and then you will get my spirit speaking to you through this medicine, and I will continue to teach you. So deep in the Amazon, there's so much wisdom and knowledge and so much trust in medicine, this traditional medicine. Of course, allopathic medicine, there's hospitals and the conventional medicine is present there as well, but deep within the tribes, there's either no option to use allopathic medicine, or more so they prefer to use traditional medicine for its healing, and using the spirit of the healing medicine to converse with, to ask for healing, and using the combination of different plants.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, I'm curious. So, like, could you go through a little bit of like, we talked about the DMT and sort of how that works within the body with the inhibitors, but like, what are some of the experiences? What can you break down a little bit of? First of all, what DMT does to the body, maybe connected to, obviously. Some people are aware that it's connected to the pineal gland, but others might not be. So yeah, can you give? I know all of these journeys are different for every person, but just in general, what is going on with this particular medicine?
Well, Speaking about it spiritually, the DMT allows the person to connect with a an energy outside of normal vibration, like outside of what we normally see. So it opens up the senses where people can connect with spirit. So, and inside of that experience, they might experience a connection with different energies. So whether it's plants, whether it's even God or Jesus or different entities, maybe even their past ancestors or other people. So it just allows the person to um, have access to so much more information that they would normally not have access to as a human being. Like you'd probably be aware that, you know, as humans, and there's some debate about how much percent we actually use, but commonly we know of it being, as say, 10% of, we're using 10% of our brain. So when working with DMT, we're able to tap into a lot more of that access. So we're able to access information from other realms, the past, the present, the future, and get access to information we would not normally have access to. So the experience with ayahuasca is different from, say, experiencing DMT, because you can actually sense that there's a particular spirit that you can converse with and you can build a relationship with it and build this bond with. And this work, really working with the different plant medicines, is a way of building a relationship with the spirit. So it's kind of like you have a teacher that you would go to and you would see. Like you see them once, okay, you might learn some stuff, great, nice, okay. But then if you continue going to this teacher, you know, if you continue going and seeing this teacher, continue building the rapport, continue to learn from this teacher starts to see that you're committed, that you can be, that to give you something else, to share more and more with you. And each experience and interaction with this teacher is going to be different. So in the same with the medicine, you're building a relationship, you're building rapport with this medicine, you're learning to trust, you're learning to let go, and more continues to open up to you. So unlike working with a human teacher, which is also beautiful and great, of course, as well, you can converse with a plant teacher. And this plant teacher has has connection with anywhere you want to go in your psyche. So your past, your future, your present, can heal generationally, the past, the future. You want to know who you were, you want to know what your future or could be like. This is all information that's accessible to you. So anything you want to find out about yourself, anything you want to heal or understand, the possibilities are endless. And also, of course, it all depends on your relationship with the medicine and how much it shows you and how quickly or how slowly you progress. But in general, progress is, it's not even the right word, but how quickly or how slowly things start to open up. And
Mm-hmm.
what you see, you kind of unsee. And the uh, the I mean, they say one night working with ayahuasca is like 7 years of psychotherapy. And the people that I've guided and helped with this experience, they they agree. Like I haven't had anyone say anything different. The amount of work we can do in one ceremony on ourselves, it's just phenomenal. So it's really for people who have a lot of things, either have a lot of things to work through that want to, or are curious about about who they were in the past or where they're going or who they are as a person on this planet. Like we just feel we're people walking on this planet, but sometimes people are curious, right? Like you might be curious as well, like who am I, like what is my place here, what am I here to do? And it just allows you that space to access that information. Working with ayahuasca is also said to be able to heal. You're able to heal 7 generations back and forward. So the amount of work you can also do for your family is, as you might understand, I'm sure you do, that everything is really
Yeah.
interconnected in this planet. So when we're able to access, so when we're really able to tap into that energy and to heal within ourselves, it really ripples out to the past generations. And I've seen this impact in my own family, and yeah, for my future family, I'm excited that things would be different than if I stuck around with all the patterns and unconscious things that were going on inside. But I've been able to do a good cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost, if you want to think about it, in a scientific way, you're tapping into that quantum field, right? And because once you're in that quantum field, there is no space or time, and everything is all interconnected into the web. So it's like a tuning fork to enter those realms. What I was curious about was what sort of tribes were you working with, and obviously they probably had some different beliefs. And could you talk about some of the tribes that you were working with? And obviously they had commonalities, but what were some of their beliefs and how they worked with the?
That's a very good question. Also, I just want to ask you a quick one before I address that one.
Mhm.
How's my sound? Because I disconnected my headphones to be able to
No, it's
charge my
fine.
phone. Should I reconnect them back, or is it okay? It's okay.
No, it's good.
It's good. Okay. So yeah, so there are, as you would imagine, in the Amazon, there are so many different tribes, most of which we know of now, but there would also be some that we don't know of deep in the jungles. So the ones that I have familiarity with are the Matsis tribe and the Shipibo tribe. So the Matsis tribe, they are hunters. So they have the medicines they commonly use is Cambo, the tobacco medicine, usually in the form of rape. So I'll talk about that in a sec. As well as Cambo and also Sinanga. So those are three medicines that are very commonly used. So, and that's ones that I have learned from their knowledge as well and facilitate too. And the Cambo is basically a frog secretion that helps someone to cleanse, let go of panema, let go of any negative energy that might be lingering around, which we call panema, when things maybe gray clouds or things aren't going right. This is what we call panema. So it can clear that, brings good luck, brings more energy, stamina, cleanses the mind, cleanses the body. So it's a really powerful flush for the body and the mind. Um, so again, that's spelled Cambo, Kambo. You can read about that on my website. I'll talk about that soon, or online as well. And so they use that. So they're big hunters. So they use that medicine to bring them good luck and to energize their body, give them more stamina and strength. It also flushes out anything in the body that might be toxic. So it helps to boost immunity. And most people that come to work with me for Cambo is really wanting to get in a good emotional cleanse. So past relationships, grief, things not gone great, helps to flush out this energy. The other one they work with is the rape tobacco medicine, powdered and served through the nose. And that allows them sharpness and connection with the tobacco spirit, which is really interconnected with all the medicine in the jungle. So it allows them to have this connection with the plant world and the spirit world as they hunt. And then also the Sinanga, which is eye medicine that is served in the eyes. It's sharp one, stingy, but it brings good luck and it gives more sharpness and clarity, also brings good luck. So the Matsis tribe, as I said, they're hunters. So their tradition and their way of working with medicine and their relationship with it are a bit different to, say, the Shipibo tribe. And the Shipibo tribe that I trained with, so my teacher was from the Shipibo tribe, and so the tradition was just Shipibo, for example, different use of tobacco. So they're firstly very big on working with ayahuasca medicine. Out of all the tribes that we know of in the jungle, they're the ones that we know of holding the strongest connection and bond with the ayahuasca medicine. So much so that their whole language has actually, according to my teacher, has been given to them by the plants. So through
Wow.
songs, through drinking this medicine, drinking the ayahuasca medicine, they could connect with the plants, and the plants would they gave them their language to use in songs. When they sing the songs, they can connect with the plants, and for healing, for connecting with spirit, for cleansing. So the songs, which I've obviously had the pleasure of learning and I use as well. So they're direct connection with the plants, and they're basically instructions for the plants of what to do and how to help that person and what energy you're calling forth and how you're helping that person. So the songs are very healing and powerful, and then they also have the spoken language. So there's some variations between the two, spoken and singing language. So that's the Icaros, their songs. And interesting enough, my teacher also said that his uncle, when the Spanish people came along, mestizos, something like that. They're called, that's what they call the Spanish. So when they came, the chief elder needed to speak Spanish with them to communicate and all that. And the plants have actually, his strong faith was so strong that the plants have actually taught him Spanish to communicate with the Spanish people coming. Their bond with the ayahuasca medicine is so, so strong. So they use it quite often. And there's beautiful, generally, of course, some people do, some people don't, especially the people that work with the medicine for healing. They do it most often. I'm in touch with a few shamans over there now that are doing, especially at this time, their work is so important. So they're so busy working with the local population to help with, maintaining health, illness, preventing illness, and protection, and all of these things. So that's the Shipibo tribe. And for example, for them, instead of like with the Matsis tribe, where the tobacco is served through the nose and it's a sharp sensation to the back of the head, it's really, really sudden and sharp. Instead of that, they would smoke the tobacco. So this is how I usually use tobacco as well, is through smoking it. So smoking the tobacco during ceremonies can help them to connect with the ayahuasca medicine, can also help create a energy and a space of protection, because during the time of working with ayahuasca, all kinds of spirits come about. So you want to make sure you're protecting the space as a medicine person or as a shaman, someone that's holding the space for the ceremony. So this is very important. So I also hold a very, very strong, very important relationship with tobacco medicine, as it helps to create this beautiful space of protection, and help people connect with ayahuasca medicine. So those two that work strongly with, as well as the Shipiba, of course, have a huge range of knowledge about all these other medicines that they use as well for different purposes. There's even some of it seems trivial, but the belief is so strong in it, that it's actually said to work. For example, someone that has ear difficulties or loss of hearing, and a tail of an armadillo is stuck in the ear and held in the ear, I think for, I don't know, a couple of days, and that's said to help them restore their hearing. So there's even things like that, and and a lot of different healing preparations with medicine that they would learn from the plants themselves. So the plants would teach them, or sometimes it's passed down generation to generation. Like the songs often are passed down, but oftentimes the plants would teach them. So traditionally, it's as if anyone that's researched this medicine, ayahuasca, you would know that there's centers and people go and drink this medicine for healing. But traditionally, ayahuasca was only drunk by the shamans, the medicine people, the ayahuasqueros, the people that work with the medicine. They only drink the medicine, and the client and the person who needs help is in front of them, and they get a vision about how to help that person. It's kind of like seeing an X-ray and being able to see what's happening in that person's body and what medicine they need, so they get that knowledge to help that person. Ayahuasca was also used in spiritual warfare and checking up on distant relatives, or checking up on the wife. Is she faithful, and things like that. So these are all traditional ways about how they would use ayahuasca. And only in the last, I guess, few decades or so has it become a practice of, everyone pretty much that's feeling cold to it, that answers the call, drinking the medicine and then having this experience themselves.
That's really interesting. That brings me to another point. Now that it's has become in the last like at least 2 decades for sure, and definitely the last decade, um, more and more people have been introduced to the medicine and other things that are going on with that. So, like, what are some things that people should be maybe looking out for? How can they know that they're going to find a good practitioner and that sort of thing?
I mean, there's a lot of centers around. I know in Iquitos, uh, which is like the highest concentration of ayahuasca centers out of anywhere. So it's a little town in Peru. So around there, there's literally over 150 centers that we even know of. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of different centers, a lot of different places. So you do want to make sure you go somewhere where you know you're going to be firstly looked after. You know the person knows what they're doing. You know they can create a safe place of protection, and and that also, another thing that's really important, is, well, one, that check your medical history, because that's very important. Some things are contraindicated with ayahuasca, such as SSRIs, so antidepressants are a really big no-no. So you want to make sure that the medical history is thoroughly checked for that for you or that person going. and also the people around. This is all really important. Another thing is you want to make sure that the brew is as pure as possible, because sometimes they would add lots of different other plants to it, even toei, even tobacco and things like that. And there's some so the more different things that are add in it, the more chance there's going to counter indicate with something with the person. So you want to make sure it's as ideally as clean as possible, and of course the person knows what they're doing. It's safe. There are some different traditions about how different medicine people work. They work differently. So sometimes they would give you the medicine and then leave you all by yourself, and they'll communicate with you until the next morning. And sometimes it's a setting where the shamans serve the medicine and then does their singing. The singing is a huge part of the process. Huge. The songs are everything. The songs are the medicine, you could even say. Um, so they help guide the experience. So you want to make sure it's someone that, well, it's going to look after you. Although, as I said, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just let the person be all on their own. And well, for me, I found it more useful to have a safe space where I know I'm looked after and helped throughout my experience if I need some help. But but just, yeah, I guess to make sure you go somewhere where you know of that you'll be safe and it's fine and it's legit. There have been cases where people getting sexually assaulted and things like that. There have been cases, so you just want to make sure that it's somewhere that you're going to be okay, especially if you're traveling by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely super important that it's well researched. Or if you knew of someone that's gone out to a ceremony that they've been able to, that they're like, yeah, I know this person or this place is really good. So that's super important. And then you touched on Cambo. Can you explain a little bit about that? And then also, uh, how is how is that administered? Uh,
Yeah, so Cambo is something I've been working for about 4.5 years, and it's a secretion from a frog, so it's not a plant medicine. And well, interestingly, how this one got discovered, the story is about the shaman called Campo in Brazil, and his tribe got really really sick, and he's tried all these different medicines and nothing would help. So one night he drank ayahuasca, and he got a vision to go out into the forest, and while there, he connected with this vision of this frog, and this frog started to teach him how to find it, how to collect its secretion, how to be able to, apply to people's skin, and how to be able to help people with its medicine on its back, on its skin. So the next day, the shaman he listened to the medicine as they do, typically. And then he went out into the jungle. He put a call out to the frog, as the frog said, which sounds a bit frog like. The frogs came down. So he collected the secretion and then he applied it on the people of his tribe, and they all got better. So that's the story about how we have the beautiful Cambo medicine. Secretion of a frog, Phyla Medusa bicolor. There's an abundance of these giant green monkey tree frogs in the Amazon. So the medicine I get is from the Matsus tribe. There's other tribes that use it as well, but the Matsus tribe are really big on working with the Cambo medicine, the secretion. So essentially, it's applied on people's skin. So first, they get people to drink 2 liters of water. Some, again, different traditions. Sometimes they don't use water. Sometimes they use a type of soup or soup with spit in it as well. So there's different traditions. Sometimes you have to stand up while doing it, which is really hard. And the methodology behind that is you've got to man up to the spirit, and you're a pussy if you don't. So you've got to stand up and take it like a man or a woman. But yeah, we do this sitting down, and we drink 2 liters of water. So this hydrates your body and helps with the purge. So Cambo is a really big cleanse, a really good purge. So you want to drink 2 liters of water. Then afterwards, the secretion, they are burn little points in the skin. So for the ladies, first time it's on the leg traditionally. For the men, it's on the arm. And then afterwards, we do points different, like auricular, around the ears, or meridians, or chakras, depending on what needs healing specifically. So the points are burnt with an incense stick, and then I scrape off the top layer of the points. And then I use the Cambo stick and I put a little bit of water. Sometimes spit is used as well. And then scrape and then make little points, dot points. Then for the first time, it's just 1 point goes on. And there's 9 different peptides in Cambo. They keep discovering more and more though. Interestingly, pharmaceutical companies have tried to synthesize, well, pull apart the peptides and make pharmaceutical medicine from it, but I found that there's something they're missing. They haven't been successful, and we feel that's the spirit of the medicine itself. It's something there that they can't tangibly, chemically just pull apart and have the same effect. It's just not working.
Right.
So, so anyway, so the medicine goes on, and at first, after a few moments to a few minutes, the person feels a bit of hotness coming on, a bit of heat coming through the body, around the head, even a slight thumping sensation around the head. Then after a few moments to a few minutes, this energy starts to cool down. That's another peptide kicking in, and that's when the person starts to feel sick. So that's when I recommend having the bucket nice and close, because the energy is going to start to cool down and the person's going to feel sick. Now, 99 points, I don't know, something of the maybe 99.9% even of people will have some sort of purge out the mouth, because they drink 2 liters of water. It becomes quite easy. And sometimes out the back end as well. So sometimes a person might have diarrhea, they need to go to the toilet. Sometimes happens twice at the same time. So I recommend taking a bucket to the toilet if they need to go to the toilet. Sometimes the purge is even through shaking, crying, sweating, all of these things. So through purging, we're getting well. So it's a very different concept to say someone going out and getting really drunk and then vomiting. That's obviously the body's not well in that state. That's why it's purging, trying to get rid of all the toxins. But with this, we're intentionally connecting with the spirit of the frog. With Cambo, we're wanting to cleanse our bodies, cleanse our minds, and through this process, we're getting well. And when someone purges, we have this little tradition in our circles. In the circles I run, and we say Viva when the person purges, and we're celebrating life, we're celebrating letting go. So we're cheering each other on. Through this process. So, and on the other side, people feel amazing, cleansed, clean, happy. I've had people come that were going to give up on life, and they come and do this, and they want to live. And people's skin conditions clear up. Like, it's a really good cleanse for the physical body, and also the mind. So it's a great for letting go. So I'm kind of assuming maybe somewhere in there might be a question difference between ayahuasca and Cambo.
Yeah.
And yeah, it often comes up as a question. So Cambo is essentially this experience that lasts about 3 to 4 hours with food that I serve afterwards. And it's a letting go. It's pretty quick. You're done. There's no usually there's no visuals or anything like that, except for I did have one client come and see me. He's done a 10 ayahuasca ceremony retreat in Peru, came and did Cambo, and no visions during the ayahuasca ceremonies, which usually there are visions. And except for the last one, he had a tiny bit. Coming down Cambo, and he had so many visions, just this whole world opened up. Very visual experience during Cambo, and came and did Cambo with me again and again, same thing, very visual. But usually it's not a visual medicine. 3 or 4 hours, we're done. It's fast. It's a good cleanse, and I recommend people to do Cambo before working with ayahuasca. Generally, I recommend it because it helps prepare the body for working with ayahuasca. Cleans it out, prepares the body, prepares the mind. So you've already dealt and let go of a lot of stuff with Cambo. So when it comes time to working with ayahuasca, you can actually really go deep and really journey. So ayahuasca, says Cambo is very much so a purge, a letting go, and ayahuasca is more so of a journey that might last, 6 to 8 hours, sometimes even more. Where you're going on a journey and you're discovering yourself, you're wondering what this is about and what this is, and you're healing, you're letting go, you're breathing. So it's a very different experience, but it's both. They both really work so well, they're both medicines of the heart. They help us to open up our hearts, to let go. There's some medicines that I say medicines of the mind. These ones are definitely heart medicines, where you feel connected with the earth. Generally, you feel connected with the spirit of Mother Earth, the spirit of this beautiful plant, or with Cambo, you're just feeling amazing as well.
And in general, like you mentioned, talking about taking Cambo first before ayahuasca, is there a recommended time period between like a week or two, or just a day, or what's the what do they recommend a possible time period between using the two medicines, or does it matter?
Yeah, it's very very loose, but even doing Cambo the morning of ayahuasca, so
Okay.
something like that, that's fine. Just if it would be like something like a few weeks, I'll just recommend after Cambo to just maintain a really clean diet, because for Cambo, for example, before Cambo, like there's not that much recommended to do. So, for example, 24 hours before, avoid alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and caffeine, and same as 24 hours after, and
Mhm.
don't eat for 10 hours before. But with ayahuasca, generally you'll be recommended, well, avoid red meat for 2 weeks, especially pork. Avoid like salts, artificial sugars, too much oil, just the alcohol. There's the whole drugs. So ayahuasca, just depending on who you go to for this work, um, yeah, there's different recommendations, but they are in general quite a bit more to like look at and um, to avoid before doing rather than Cambo. So what you want to do is if you're going to do Cambo before, then afterwards I'd really recommend just keeping your diet nice and clean, because you've just cleansed yourself. You're feeling really clean. So just really maintain a clean diet afterwards.
Okay, gotcha. Hmm. Interesting.
Mm.
So, yeah, like, uh, so, uh, where, like, so where can people find out about like sort of your work? Do you have a website? And are you going to be doing helping people do retreats? What are your plans for the next little while?
You guys come see me in Australia if you like. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff I do there, but also I am going to Peru. So I'm going to Peru to. I'm organizing a retreat there in February, so that's the next one, next February, and yeah, that'll be an opportunity to obviously do ayahuasca, work with my teacher, connect with the spirit medicines, and he's very thorough. Like when you go there, he asks, "What is your illness?" and you get to share what's going on for you and what you're having trouble with. So the medicine that you get is specifically around what you're struggling with. So not necessarily like in most retreats and places you go to, it's like, oh yeah, here's just some ayahuasca ceremonies. That's it. No, you actually get a whole range of other spirit helpers, plant medicines to be able to support you in everything that you're going through. So it's very, very important. Also, during this retreat, there's also a thing called dietas. We haven't talked about dietas, but dietas is basically a where you're able to connect with the spirit of the medicine, and you get to build a very strong bond, and then you have to get to have this bond for life, if you do a good job connecting with it. So you say there's a medicine you want to connect with and you want to learn from. So for example, a few that I worked with, so that's the Noa Rao spirit. So she's a spirit of white light, flying medicinal tree. She's amazing. And this is the medicine that we get to do a diet and connect with in February, which is so exciting. She's my greatest teacher. She's amazing. Because most spirits have a positive and a negative side, and she's just pure white light. And then there's
Mm.
another one, I got to connect with Bob and Sana. So there's different other plants that we basically set a contract with. We ask for what we want to get help with and what we want to address in our lives, and then what we're willing to sacrifice. And this might be, things like I'm going to meditate every day, or I'm going to go to the tree and sing to it, or spend time with it. So there's an exchange, and through this exchange, you build this very strong bond with this plant, this energy, and then also doing the ayahuasca ceremonies as well, where you get to really have interactive experiences and meeting this and bonding with this plant. And then if you really commit yourself to it, you get to have this bond for life with this plant. So it's there to help you and support you through life and your experiences. And yeah, it's having this connection with plants has been, well, yeah, arguably the most strongest connection in my life that I get to hold on to, and I get to get help with and ask for help, and tobacco spirit's a big part of all of this as well. So anyway, so dietas are very, very powerful, very important, and allow someone to build a beautiful bond with a plant teacher and plant spirit and go really deep with them. So we'll have an opportunity for that at the February retreat. So yeah, so that's very, very exciting. I took a year off this year just because I've been going so often to Peru that, yeah, I've taken a week to do lots of stuff here locally with other stuff. Um, and yeah, so that's happening in February. If you guys want to find out more, but I don't have details about that specific retreat in February. just yet on the website, but just general information on the website you can find, including a free book about ayahuasca, so guys can download that. My website is www.journeytotheinside.com.au. The book is on the front page, and then also you get to find out a bit more about Cambo on there, a bit more about ayahuasca. So there you'll see I do Cambo ceremonies locally, and then also retreats to Peru. So you get to see that information there. If you're interested in the Peru retreat, you'll find that there's an application on the website. So you can just put in your details on there and then send it through, and I'll get your information and we'll organize for a call if that's something you're interested in doing. So if that looks like a fit, and then possibly we can have you coming in February with us. And yeah, otherwise, yeah, I do Cambo in Australia as well. But obviously, unless you're willing to come to Australia, which I'd love to have you here, maybe the retreat's a little bit closer. But yeah, so just check out that website. It has information, and you can get a free book, and that's where through there you can have, connect with me as well if you'd like to, and ask any questions you might have to. And we also have a Facebook page, so you can look at that as well. Journey to the Inside.
Journey to the Inside. Awesome. And then I have, I forgot, I have one more question I forgot to ask was what actually really important is the integration process, and what sort of goes on with that process, like, because people have these phenomenal these experiences, and then we have to go back to quote unquote regular life if that's what we choose to do. So what are some of the things that that you guys work with the actual integration of the medicine into regular life?
Yeah, well, this is very, very important because with most retreats and things you do, there's no integration phase. But this is something that I offer to people I work with. So, so for example, for people that come to Peru, so for example, that service, we have a Facebook group, where I go through what needs to be done in preparing for the ceremony, preparing for the work, preparation for your mind or physical preparation, getting organized and things like that. Then at the retreat, I'm obviously there with you as well to support you. And then afterwards, there is that experience that you have for 2 weeks, bonding strongly with the plants and having this incredible experience. And then you get to, obviously everyone's experience is different, as anyway, everyone's relationship with everyone is. And you'll find that you will be quite sensitive to things like airports, strong sounds, violence, things like that. So you want to be sensitive and gentle with yourself afterwards. And then so we have a Facebook group to support you beforehand. And then that's there also afterwards you get a chance to stay in touch with the people that you went to the retreat with. And I do also organize 4 post-retreat integration calls. So this is where we have a variety of 4 topics, and each person goes around in a circle and shares their experience and what's happening and how the experience of Peru is related into their everyday life. And it really helps the person speaking as well as everyone around to just piece together what happened and how this is coming into existence. Because the thing is, as I said, you can't see what you see, and it's really intense. So you want to make sure you're in a safe environment. And ideally you want to make sure you have some support afterwards as well if you need some help, because literally it's a pretty intense experience and very different to the normal sensual experience we have here. So it helps to have some support. So I'm there to help people afterwards. And also on top of that, I also do one-on-one call per person as well if they need some help on top of that as well, to have a chat and support the person that's going through on a one-on-one basis afterwards as well.
Excellent, excellent. Can you give us your website and Facebook page one more time, and then also I just want people to put my own plug in here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Then also, can you give us some last thoughts? Anything that I've missed that you think is really important that you need to talk about? Please let us know.
Sorry, what was the last thing you said? Anything else?
Yeah, like so. Can you give us your website, your Facebook group, and then also if there's something that I missed that you said that you feel it's really important that you need to express and talk about when dealing with plant medicines, if you can let us know that as well.
Yeah, sure. So the website is www.journeytotheinside.com.au. So that's TOTHE inside, so to the inside, written out in one word, .com.au. So it's got an AU at the end, for Australia. And the Facebook page is just Journey to the Inside. So Journey to the Inside. There's also Journey to the Inside Tribe. That is a private group just for the people that I work with directly. So you guys won't have access to that yet, but yes, just for the Facebook page is there. So look for the Facebook page, or the website. Any final points is literally, I was speaking to one girl just today, and she was feeling scared about the experience, about what she might experience, and what's going to happen. And feeling fear is so normal. Half the people that I speak to experience some level of fear going into experience, they're scared. And I say literally, of course, like this is something new, something you haven't experienced before. Of course, like there's no reference for you, in this conscious life that you have for that experience. So you don't know what it's going to be like. So, but what's important is that, is that if you're feeling the call, which if you're on this call now and you're feeling some drawnness to doing this work, you probably are feeling the call for this work. And if you're feeling the call, and even if you're afraid, go and do it. Obviously make sure that health wise you're fine to do it. And I have a questionnaire for people for health, and as anyone doing this work should. um so, and if you're good to go health wise, if you're feeling the cold, do it. Even if you're feeling afraid, even if you're feeling nervous, anxious, all of these things, this is all normal. And even after the first time you do it, maybe the second time or the third time you feel nervous again because the experience is different again. But trust yourself, trust the medicine. When I run the ceremonies, the first things that I suggest is literally, the first thing is trust the medicine. This is probably the most important thing I could give you. Trust the medicine. And there were times where I didn't trust and I was feeling a bit scared. And like this one time, um, I felt like my whole body was disintegrating into puzzle pieces, and then the puzzle pieces were twisting around. And when they would twist around, I got a sense that I would cease to disappear. And that, of course, is really scary. Like, imagine you're ceasing to disappear, and it all feels really real. And then I just said for a moment to the medicine, said, "Oh, just wait a moment. I'm nervous." And she said, "Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to show you something." And I just took out a moment, and I thought, okay, no, you know what? I trust you. I'll let go. I trust you. And I let go, and I let her continue spinning the pieces around of myself. And on the other side of those pieces, when they spun around, I noticed myself in this point in time where everything was just like just everything just like stopped and started to exist at the same time. Like everything was and isn't. And it's like that point of creation where everything just started. And that was like the most incredible experience of my life, that I got to experience and be there and to feel that moment. And I wouldn't have done it, got there, if I didn't trust the medicine. And that's just one example of so many. And that's what I recommend to people doing this work. Trust the medicine, trust her, honestly. And of course, there's little things also like letting go.
Oh,
Are you there?
lost you for a sec.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. I just had someone
Divine
call me, so
timing.
okay, great. Yeah. And but yeah, also yes, trust the medicine, let go. Is with so much of this work, the key message is just to let go, let go, let go, just let it all go, release, trust the medicine, and remember to breathe. So the medicine just shows you what it shows you. Just let go, breathe, trust it, and enjoy the process. Again, if you're feeling the call for it, um, health wise, if you're fine, you're good to go, go and do it. Um, it would be my recommendation. Of course, this is only something that you can do for yourself, and only you have the power to decide whether it's something you do or not. So it's a very personal choice. But I can say for myself and the people that I get to see and do this work with, it changes our lives, and we're very, very grateful. So, yeah.
Excellent. And I'm very grateful that you're able to share this, your experiences with our audience. And I hope that, people find this information really helpful, and make sure you guys check out Jana's website and her Facebook pages to learn more. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to my page. Thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I love the stories and learning lots. So thanks so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you for the work that you do, getting these
Yeah,
people here and all the beautiful speakers you have as well. And yeah, thank you so much for all the work you do, Chris.
you're welcome. All right, you have a good night or good afternoon, I
You too,
suppose.
everyone.
All right, ciao.
All the best. Bye.
Bye.